Hello again. I was recently asked a question about lightning, in particular lightning strikes. What happens when lightning strikes an aircraft? What happens to you? In a nutshell, pretty much nothing. There have been some dramatic photographs taken in the last few years of people snapping pictures of lightning actually hitting an airplane in flight. Looks very dramatic, looks very scary. But in all the cases, virtually nothing happens. I've been struck by lightning on a number of occasions. I think about half a dozen throughout my flying career. The airplanes are built to withstand lightning strikes because of the composition of the outer shell of the airplane. The composite materials or the metal materials actually form what's known as a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage that protects the contents from overstimulation from electrical sources. So when a lightning strikes the aircraft, the electrical energy coming from the lightning is actually counteracted by the metals in the aircraft structure, allowing the electricity to really kind of bypass the contents inside. So nothing really happens to you. And you really shouldn't know it at all. Other than a flash, you probably won't even see the flash. It can come from anywhere. There's also something called static discharge wicks. Now, you'll see those on the trailing edges of the airplane surfaces sometimes. There's usually a minimum number that there have to be on perhaps on the ailerons and the rudders, and primarily the back of the airplane and the horizontal stabilizer. Now, that has nothing to do with lightning. As an airplane flies through the atmosphere, there is a buildup of static electricity. And if it flies through the clouds and weather, you actually have more static electricity. And it's important for that static electricity to be dissipated somewhere. And that happens through those discharge wicks, where the energy collects in those wicks and goes harmless in the air. And that really protects the avionics, and particularly the radios in the airplane. If you get a high static condition, sometimes it's difficult to speak on the radios. The modern electronics really eliminate most of that, but if it's really severe, it can affect it. I've had that a couple of times too. But eventually the static electricity goes away, the electronic components in the airplane are protected, and everyone goes on their merry way. As far as what do you hear when you're struck by lightning, I've heard a couple of things. One time I heard got hit on the nose of the airplane. It was like a sound of a big bee. It just went through the airplane in a second. Other times when I've been hit, it sounds like either a baseball bat slamming the outside of the airplane or a couple of old metal trash can lids being slammed together. So it can take many forms. And if something like that happens, the biggest thing is the airplane sound. You might have some electrical problem. The older airplanes, they might have electrical problems where certain electrical components are dropped offline, and a flight engineer would have to try to reestablish the connection. In my cases, absolutely nothing happened, even in the military. One of the biggest risks is external damage. Sometimes a lightning strike will leave big gashes in a plane or pinhole pricks in different spots. So if you do have a lightning strike, typically they'll undergo a special inspection to check on the structural integrity. And as long as the airplane is flying well, you can keep on going. Hopefully nothing happens to you. If you do get struck by lightning, you're safe. Just like if you're in your car driving down the highway, you take a lightning strike, it'll go through the tires into the pavement, and you'll be fine. Take care.